Hello everyone and welcome to Jank 2.0, the server where we're building the largest vanilla survival redstone game. Last episode we finished clearing out the end, but the other thing we did in the last episode was we started working on the redstone of Jank, and specifically the big sorting system that determines how each level plays out based on the items that players are bringing into the game. So today I want to continue that and actually install that system in our version of Jank on this actual server. Let's head over to Jank to see what we need to do. So the first thing I want to do today is I want to create a little system that takes the player's shulker box and empties the contents of that shulker box and starts the game. So I'm going to make it right here. That's the plan. This is the entrance to Jank. So this will be our little starting station. Alrighty, the shulker unloader system is now in place. It ended up being fairly complex, definitely more complex than I would have wanted it to be, but it does work. Let's say a player has a shulker box which has 7 items, in this case 7 levers, but these will be individually named items. When they want to enter Jank, they're going to place the shulker box into here. And because the hopper underneath is locked, these items are going to stay in here until the player is ready to go, so they can take items in and out as they need to. But once the player is ready, they flip this lever, and now that's not meant to happen. Okay, well I guess we're going to have to do something like this. Right, that's fine, that still works. Shulker box gets broken, it goes into those hoppers there, it gets sent through this system here, into this dispenser that you can't actually see. It's this dispenser here, which fires out the shulker box actually as the shulker box, and then all the items from that shulker box get dropped down, so they go through this system here. It also sets off a timer, which is this thing here, which after 32 ticks will crush the shulker box so that the shulker box also enters the system. And if we're lucky, yes, there we go, we have the shulker box and the 7 levers right down there. And eventually we also have a little return system, so this chest here is where the shulker box and all the items are going to be returned to the player once they finish playing. Cool, so that's all good, but now we need to sort out what happens when the items go into this hopper, because they need to enter the big sorting system. Luckily we designed this in the last episode, so I have a handy schematic that I can load up. There it is, that's what it looks like. Eventually we're going to have to do this again in the nether and in the end. But one step at a time, so let's get started with this one. Alright, I've added in not just the big system here, I've made a few modifications to allow us to put items into the system and potentially take them out of the system as well. So I figured we should probably test it just to make sure it works. So I'm going to change a few of these lines. Let's just do some ones at random, like this one here. We'll remove this sorting item. Let's put some redstone rockets into it, and maybe we'll have one further down, yeah, like here, where we'll remove it and put some carrots in instead. So let's grab a shulker box, put in a fire rocket and a golden carrot, and just for good measure I'm going to put in a piece of stone, which is kind of an item that shouldn't be sorted out. Okay, I put it in now. Oh, I've just realized the firework got set off. Okay, the firework has been set off by the dispenser. That's a slight issue that I didn't really account for, but the golden carrot should still be going through the system, so it should have come down here, and this thing has broken. Great, everything's breaking, fantastic. But it should be, yeah, it's here. You can see we've got the golden carrot, the stone, and the light blue shulker box, so it's ready to be sorted out. So hopefully this works. So it's going to come over here. Right, yeah, turn off. All the items are now in here. Perfect. Cool, and it's being carted off till over here, where it ends up going into this other minecart, which goes all the way across the sorting system. And then yes, it's off, and now they should deposit the items, well, in this case the golden carrot, into the equivalent dropper. Did that not work? Where's it gone? Oh, here it is. Yeah, see this redstone line? This redstone line has been triggered because Yeah, we got a golden carrot in our system. Those extra items that we had, they've ended up into this shulker box here. Sorry, I mean this chest here. So they're eventually going to be like sent to the other dimension. So that's something else I need to work on a bit. And eventually, when we don't want to use the game anymore, when we turn the game off, we want all these lines to be deactivated. We're going to have another signal coming through here, which at the moment is represented by this lever, and that's turning off all the lines. Those items that are turning on the lines drop down into that minecart there, which moves them all across here all the way to this chest here at the end. So eventually, if everything's going well, this should have our golden carrot. Yes, I saw it go in. There it is. The golden carrot's arrived where it has to arrive. And because that's when the game turns off, this is then going to be funneled back all the way to the entrance where player can pick up their items. Now the next step is building this in the other two dimensions, because we want to have pretty much the same system in the nether and in the end. And then we need to start connecting things up, and that's where things get slightly tricky. So before we start working on the other dimensions, I wanted to try something out. I want to test out a little method to send signals from up here all the way down into the rest of the game. And that's what I've been doing. I've been working away with these kind of walls to try and send signals all the way down to the very, very bottom of the game. And the reason for doing this is that, for example, if we want to have something that tells the game if it's on or not, we can use one of these sorting system lines to send that signal down to all the relevant parts. So what I've done is I've connected it up, and I can show you how this works. So we've got these game active papers that I can dispense once a player turns on the game, and that will go through all the sorting system, get picked up from this line of the sorting system, and this piece of paper will end up in this chest. It will light up that line, and then that will trigger all this stuff over here. So there's this very interesting mechanic in Minecraft to do with walls, and you can use walls to send redstone signal all the way up and down as far as you want. Because a wall has two states essentially. It's got a flat state, which I can show you if I take that out. See, it's got like kind of that middle block there is very flat, but it also has this other state where you've got it kind of notched. Better, is that a way to describe it? And you can trigger that by placing a block next to it. An observer can observe that change in state. So what we're doing here is when we trigger this, we are sending a piston down which changes the state of the block, which is recorded by the observer, and that observer triggers this bulb which sends out a signal over here. So now that signal from up there is handed up down here, but we can have the same bulb and observer system all the way down there, and it'll still trigger whenever we trigger this line up above. Not only that, but I've got this slightly convoluted system with another piston underneath that once the signal is taken out of that wall, we'll send it back down to the wall. So it skips for a while and then it kind of reconnects down there. And that means that we can take the signal off this line multiple times. This is how we're going to be sending signals up and down the game without using a lot of lag, because this is just a way to kind of reduce lags. So that's a little proof of concept that makes me feel better about myself, because it feels like it is actually working. I think the next step is to build these big sorting systems in the nether, and in the end, we've got a working computer internet system in Jank. Alrighty, we've got the whole system set up in the nether as well. Here it is. Right, the end is connected in, and not only that, I also solved a little problem that I was having with the items respawning after falling into the end portal. Because it turns out that when you drop the items into the end portal, they end up at spawn, but specifically at the highest point possible in spawn, which happens to be on the roof of the Jank lobby. So they actually spawn somewhere over here. So I've had to add in this system that collects the items and sends them all the way around, all down the side of Jank down here, and then back to the start again. So that is all sorted, which is great. And I've tested this out a few times. If you put an item into the start there, it will eventually reach the chest over there, which means it's going through the whole system. It means the whole system is online. Now, there's only two problems that I'm facing at the moment. Number one, which is kind of like a minor problem, but is an annoying problem. Some of the items are occasionally getting lost, and I don't know where they're going. I can't find where this weak point is, but there's clearly some point where they're being spat out of a dropper and not falling exactly where I think they should be. Anyway, it's something that I'm working on at the moment to try and solve. The bigger problem though is that the time it takes for an item to go through the system and back to the chest here is just very long. It takes approximately 9 minutes for essentially for Jank to be online. So if somebody wants to play Jank, they have to put in their shulker box, wait 9 minutes, and then enter Jank. And that's not really great, especially if someone's streaming. You know, I can't expect people to be waiting around that long. We need to basically go back and rip out a whole load of work we've done, but hopefully fix this issue in the meantime. So the problem we're having is stuff like these big lines here are just too slow. Like the minecarts aren't very efficient. They take a lot of time. They have to go backwards and forwards. I can replace a lot of these lines with just water streams, and it's a similar amount of lag, so it's not that much of a loss. And I can also replace the lines up here with water streams, so these can very easily become water streams as well. But I can't really do it for the nether because unfortunately, as you may know, you can't have water in the nether. But even if the nether stays as it is, if we replace all of the minecarts in the other 2 dimensions, in theory we should speed this process up a lot. Alright, I think it's time to show some progress. I've gone through the whole of Jank, and wherever I could I have replaced the rail with these water streams. But we put in there, like, whoa, that is so much faster. See, I can't even keep up with it. So much faster than the minecart, and also it doesn't have to go backwards and forwards, which helps a lot. But this has significantly improved our system. So now if we put in a shulker box, let me find a shulker box of empty stuff. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to replace some of these with other blocks, like these repeaters. And we'll do this in each dimension. So let's make a little test box. We're going to put a redstone piece, we're going to put the redstone torch in, we're going to put a redstone repeater, an assortment of other items that we're not currently sorting for. So let's see what happens when we put the shulker into the system. And it's going to take a while for it to go throughout the system. Now, it used to be 9 minutes, it's now closer to 5, which is great. 5 is kind of the optimal number for what we're trying to do. And to be honest, if players are going to be playing levels in the overworld or the nether, it's much shorter time than that. It's only if they're playing levels in the end that it may take up to 5 minutes for the items to reach there and modify the game. But I don't think that's a massive problem. I think we can work with that. The items are currently going through the system, and what you may be able to see is that where we put those items in, like here for example, that line has lit up. So this is our redstone repeater, it's lit up this line. If we go to the nether, we should see the same. Oh, there it is, it's just lit up, that one there. So that piece of redstone or whatever it was has lit up this line. And then in the end, also we should be able to see this line turn on. So this is our game on state. So in theory we should have a piece of paper that's, oh there it is, it's gone on. So that's turned on that line. And in theory that should have also lit up. There it is. That's the line we had activated with our redstone torch. And back here we should start seeing some of the items coming through. Yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, there we go. Both the shulker box and any extra items that we had chucked into the chest. Now, the exciting part though is that I've also added in a whole other system where if we pull this lever, we turn off the game. Now another piece of paper is going to go through the system and it's going to start activating different things, which is going to start releasing all these items that we put down here. Oh, there it's gone off. Fantastic. So that works, and then that item's gone down there. It's going to be picked up by that minecart, and we don't care if this is a bit slower. That's why we're still using minecarts. And it's going to take it there and it's going to go through the system again. We can also see that mechanism in action here. Soon a piece of paper which is going to deactivate the game is going to come through. It's going to go through that sorting system there, which is going to trigger this line here, which is going to deactivate all of these chests. So all the items are going to fall down. It's going to turn off this game system that is currently on, and it's going to drop all the items, like we saw earlier, into the minecart below. There it goes. And it's turned off that line there. It's sent a signal all the way across, which is eventually going to deactivate our line at the very end, wherever it was. We should eventually be able to find our items in this chest here. And there we have it. All the items are free. It does take a bit of time to turn off, but hey, whatever, as long as it works. So with that, I think it is the end of today's episode. It took me several weeks to get all this redstone done, and I appreciate it if you watched until this point. I realise that redstone is not always the most interesting of things, but I do know some people on my channel do enjoy it. So although I will keep uploading some redstone videos, I will make sure to kind of intersperse them amongst more building videos. So next week we're going to be building levels. We're not doing any more redstone, don't worry. But that's it for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you have, please remember to comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.